ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have the talented director Geeta Malik here. We're talking about her brand new movie, India Sweets and Spices, which I saw at Tribeca, and you guys can see next week when it comes out. Geeta, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks. How are you?
I'm awesome, awesome. I just got to tell you, I love this movie. I thought it was super funny.
Thank
Can
you.
you talk about to tell people what it's about?
Yeah. The basic nutshell of it is there's a girl named Alia who goes away to college. She comes back home after her freshman year. And over the course of a summer full of Indian dinner parties, she discovers secrets about her parents and sort of implodes their world with what she discovers.
I like that. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but there was a theme at Tribeca. There seemed to be a lot of Indian American storytelling being done there, and good Indian American storytelling. Yours was the second film I saw that featured that, which the first one was 7 Days, which was also quite wonderful. Can you talk about Indian American as a whole in cinema and what that's like and how their stories are being told?
Yeah, sure. We see a lot of Indian films, hit the mainstream. Slumdog Millionaire, Monsoon Wedding was a long time ago. Bend It Like Beckham, films that really burst into the mainstream, but they were mostly about their Indian stories for the most part. And I think 20 years ago there was a movie called American Desi, and that was about Indian Americans. I feel like for me that was the first time I saw my experience really reflected on camera. And there was a few movies that came after that, ABCD and American Chai. And then it felt like there was nothing for so long. And I feel like these kinds of movies come in waves. And I'm just hoping that this is a wave that continues. I hope we don't like dip back down again. But it is really nice to see a lot of these stories coming back out.
Well, I think that the quality is something to speak of too. They're all interesting, unique Indian American stories, and they're all of high quality. Your film is actually incredibly funny.
Oh,
Aaliyah's a character we can all relate to, even though I went to ASU and she's a UCLA person. That's a different story altogether. But they're all relatable. How do you go about crafting such unique and relatable characters? Is there some of you put into that?
Oh, for sure. I wish I was as cool as Alia, but I definitely wrote her aspirationally. But there's a lot. I have a sarcastic sense of humor. I wish I could talk to the aunties the way Alia ends up talking to the aunties. I wish I had that courage when I was a teen. And yeah, I mean, I think the key for me to being authentic is just to reflect those experiences. These are friends that I had growing up. This is the community I had growing up, and to really just remember how that was to be part of that community and not try to force anything. I guess that's the way I do it.
Speaking of the aunties, they're got to be my favorite part of this movie because I relate to that. I'm Latino, and that's universal.
Right. Right.
We don't call them aunties, but they do the same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know why they do that, but they do. Now, I wanted to ask you, because it's so interesting when I have somebody like yourself. This is your first feature. Is that correct, Geeta?
It's my second feature, but it's definitely the first at this budget level.
Right. And you can tell that there's some money put into this thing, and that's great because it needed the right touch. And I think you got that touch just right. I wanted to talk to you. Who are some inspirations to you as a director, as a creator?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have. I mean, a lot of favorite filmmakers. For sure, I love the Coen brothers. Just that sort of weird sense of humor. I love. I aspire to be as cool as them one day. But also, for sure, any Indian filmmaker. My triumvirate is, Meera Nair, Gurinder Chadha, and Deepa Mehta. These were women making groundbreaking films that I watched with my mom, throughout my childhood, and they reflected parts of my experience, and they also showed me new parts of the Indian diaspora and growing up in India. And I think the fact that I could see them in sort of, hitting the mainstream as well, that gave me inspiration. Oh, someone who looked like me could do what they're doing. So big inspirations.
I like that. It's really funny that you mentioned that. You saw all those, and those are all Bollywood mainly directors. Am I right?
No, well, so Meera Nair is, she's actually from Uganda.
I know her. Yeah, I heard that name.
But she doesn't work in Bollywood, no. And Gurinder Chadha has done some sort of Bollywood adjacent films. She did, Bride and Prejudice, which has Bollywood elements in it.
I have seen that one.
Yeah. And then Deepa Mehta works, I would say, back in the 70s, they had what they called parallel cinema. So Deepa Mehta works in India, but she tells stories that are very, very, very revolutionary and not necessarily with Bollywood elements. So
I like it. Thank you for clarifying that so that people, when they listen to this, they can know, check those guys out, especially because I know some people are very off and on about that Bollywood stuff. Me, I like musicals, and so I'll check them out because they got dancing and singing, and I'm there for that.
Yeah.
Now, with that, one of the hardest questions I'm going to ask you all day is the one I'm about to ask you.
Okay.
You only get two films to watch for the rest of your life.
Oh my
Two
God.
films.
Now that's really hard.
It's a challenge. I like it.
Challenge. I would probably go with comfort films. I will say one of my favorite films growing up was Sneakers. Did you ever watch Sneakers?
Yeah.
Robinson?
Yeah.
I have that movie basically memorized. So I would probably just have that on a loop, just going on behind me. Love Sneakers. Excuse me. And probably the other one would be, oh man, this is a tough question that you're asking me. I would probably watch Dil Se. That's a Bollywood film that stars the same star in my film Manisha Koirala, along with Shah Rukh Khan. Beautiful songs in it, excellent storytelling, amazing cinematography, and I love the director Mani Ratnam. So that would probably be the other one. They're very completely different worlds, but those are probably the two.
I think Manisha does a great job, by the way,
Yes.
in your movie. She's so good. I wanted to ask you about something regarding, because you already answered the hardest question I'm going to ask you
Okay,
I wanted to ask you about the familiarity with the topic, especially with Manisha's character and her and what she went through toward the end of the movie. I won't spoil it for people who want to see the movie, and they should. Can you talk about where that came from, where that sort of permeated from, how that was put together? Because that's such an interesting thread, and it's such a modern thread too. You wouldn't probably see that about 10 years ago.
You're talking about Sheila's journey from where she was in India.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, it was important to me. Arranged marriage is always such a big part. Anytime someone's telling a story that involves Indians, someone's got to be like, what about arranged marriage? Let's use that as a plot point. And I tried to use it in a way that felt true to Sheila, because she was forced into a situation she didn't want to be in, but it wasn't even that was not the traditional way you would usually see arranged marriage on screen, right? It was because she was doing something that was very much about her integrity and standing up for what she believed in. And this was almost used as a punishment, and that really changed the trajectory of her life. And when she sort of gave a lot of things up in that moment, which I think is a common thing and which does often happen. But then the idea of that happening to her and having this thing in her past and then coming to the States and regaining that sense of self, that was really important for me to show as well. That it wasn't just like this was it and that was the rest of her life. She had to be this one person her whole life. She was able to come back to who she was when she was younger and to regain that sense of vitality and anger that she had back then.
I love that. I love that. That's a great answer. It really does break down that character so well. And Manisha does such a great job of acting, and you can really feel everything. And that's a testament to not only her but yourself, because you wrote the film. Mm-hmm. And the most important thing in any movie is the script, but your direction is so subtle. Your hand is so subtle. You're not overbearing with it. Can you talk about the process of how you casted these guys? Because you got a great cast here, and B, putting it all together, directing it.
Yeah. Casting was it was awesome. Just the fact that we got people like Manisha and Adil Hussain, who's also just a phenomenal actor. That was all through one of our producers in our production company who do a lot of work in India. They were able to get the script to these people and set up the meetings and all of that. So that's how that worked. With Sophia, she's someone I met ages ago at a really casual table read with some of my friends. And she read for a different part. And I kept looking at her and I was like, she would be amazing to read for Alia. And so when it came time to audition everyone again, when we were casting the film, I made sure her name was in the mix as well. So she auditioned like everyone else, but she blew everyone away, rightly so. And then, the rest of the cast, it was a lot of, we had great casting directors who went to all the corners of the earth. They went to theater programs. Excuse me. They went to like a Starbucks where an Indian person was working, and they just tried to fill out the cast that way. And so, and we shot in Atlanta, and there's just an amazing pool of talent down there. So we got a lot of the great supporting characters there. As far as directing, as a writer, I think, I've always been a writer, but, being able to translate that to the screen, a lot of what I'm basically doing when I'm writing a lot of the times is, I'm already seeing it in my head. And so being able to direct it, to that level was really a gift, to be able to take what I had in my head and say, we can actually get this kind of camera. We can actually get this angle. We have these lights, that was really, I'm really grateful for that experience.
I love that. Now, Sophia's about to be a huge star. And so that's going to happen here in the next couple of months when she comes out in her next movie.
Yes.
So that's great that you got her in it now.
She's awesome. She's a
Yeah.
great person. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now I wanted to, because we only have a few minutes left. I wanted to give you the chance to pitch your movie to the audience. Why should they check out India Sweets and Spices?
Oh boy. India Sweets and Spices, I think, is a very universal story. It's set in a specific community, but I think, as you said, we all have gossipy aunties and uncles. We all have that generation of people looking at us, and we're all toiling under those expectations to an extent. So I would say if you want to come see a movie that you will relate to, that is funny, that is heartfelt, and is a true labor of love for, this whole journey has been, you can see it on screen, I hope, with a great cast, and lots of fun, sizzling food and dinner parties, glitzy outfits, and yet a real strong subversive element throughout, then I think this is the movie for you.
I love that pitch. By the way, I'm in love with those twins. In love with them.
Yes.
I was like, I need to talk to them. I love them. But that was a great pitch. I think everybody should check out India Sweets and Spices when it comes out next week on VOD, right?
It'll be in theaters November 19th. And then
yes.
we'll roll out that plan in a few weeks.
So theaters November 19th. Go check it out because the food looks great and it's going to look even better on that giant screen. Geeta, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I appreciate you. Thanks. If anybody wanted to follow you, where would they do it?
My handle is @Shaitani Films. So Shaitani means mischief in Hindi. So that's my handle on Instagram and also on Twitter.
Gotcha. So everybody follow her so you can get updates on the movie and check out what she's doing next. And what do you have coming up next?
I have a couple spec features that I'm writing. I'm writing a studio feature and I'm pitching a TV show around town. So fingers crossed.
Any word on what studio?
I'm not able to say right
now. Aha! All right. Thought I was going to get you there. I couldn't. Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. And that's really all I have.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
No, it's my pleasure.